3 nights ago, I woke up at exactly 3:03 a.m. I didn't know why. My apartment was completely silent, but something felt wrong. When I walked out of my bedroom, I froze. There was a door in the middle of my apartment. That's impossible because my apartment layout is simple. Bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, living room, no hallway. But now there was one. A narrow, dark hallway that had never existed before. At the end of it stood an old wooden door. I remember staring at it for a long time, trying to convince myself I was still dreaming. Eventually, I went back to bed. In the morning, the hallway was gone. So was the door. The next night, it happened again. 3:03 a.m. I woke up suddenly. And there it was again. The hallway, the door. Exactly the same. This time I walked closer. The wood looked ancient, covered in scratches and marks like someone had been trying to break through it. But the strangest thing was the carving. Right in the center of the door, my name, perfectly carved into the wood. I stepped back immediately. That night I didn't sleep at all. The third night, I decided to stay awake and see what would happen. I watched the clock. 3:01, 3:02, 3:03, and right in front of me, the hallway appeared, like reality itself had shifted. The door stood there waiting. This time I walked slowly toward it. When I reached the handle, I heard something on the other side. Breathing. Slow, heavy breathing. Then a voice, quiet, barely a whisper. Finally, my hand froze on the handle, and then the handle started turning from the other side. The handle kept turning. Slowly, deliberately. I stepped back, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it would burst through my chest. The door creaked open just a few centimeters. A cold draft spilled into the hallway. It smelled old, like dust, damp wood, and something metallic. Then the door stopped moving. Silence. For a moment, nothing happened. I stood there staring at the small crack between the door and the frame. And then something moved inside the darkness. An eye. Watching me. My body locked in place. I couldn't move. The eye blinked once. Then the door slowly opened wider. The hallway behind it was darker than anything I'd ever seen. Not just dark, like a room with the lights off, but thick, almost solid darkness, like a void. Then the voice came again. Closer this time. You took longer than expected. My throat felt dry. Who are you? I whispered. For a moment there was no answer. Then something stepped forward. At first I could only see a silhouette. Human-shaped. Same height as me. Same build. Then it stepped into the dim light of the hallway. And my stomach dropped. It was me. But older. Tired. His eyes were sunken, and his clothes looked worn like he had been wandering for years. He stared at me with a strange mixture of relief and exhaustion. You finally made it, he said. I shook my head slowly. This isn't possible. He ignored that. Instead, he pointed behind him into the darkness beyond the door. You can't stay here anymore, he said. What do you mean? His expression changed from relief to fear. Because once you see the door, he whispered, it starts seeing you too. Something moved in the darkness behind him, something huge, not human. A deep rumbling sound filled the hallway. My older self looked back into the darkness. Then he grabbed my arm suddenly. Listen carefully, he said. When the door appears tomorrow, don't open it. I frowned, but it's already open. He slowly shook his head. No. And then he looked straight into my eyes. This isn't tomorrow's door. Behind him, the darkness started moving, like something massive was pushing forward. My older self shoved me backwards suddenly. Run! The door slammed shut. The hallway vanished instantly. I was standing alone in my living room. My apartment looked completely normal again. No hallway, no door, no sound. My heart was still racing when I checked the clock. 3:04 a.m. I thought it was finally over, until I noticed something new. Another door, right behind me, and this one was already opening. The door behind me opened slowly. The hinges made a long, painful creaking sound that echoed through the apartment. I didn't want to turn around. Every instinct in my body told me not to look, but I did. Behind me was another hallway, not the same one. This one was longer, darker. The walls looked warped, like they had been stretched too far. The air coming from it was freezing cold. At the end of the hallway stood a door, another one. This one looked newer. Clean wood. No scratches, no carvings, just a single number burned into the center. 3:03. My heart dropped. 3:03 a.m. The same time the hallway always appeared. I stepped closer before I could stop myself. Each step made the floor creak beneath my feet. The hallway felt wrong. Like gravity itself wasn't working properly. The walls seemed to move slightly when I wasn't looking directly at them, and the silence was unbearable. When I finally reached the door marked 3:03, I heard something inside. Voices. Multiple voices. Whispering. Hundreds of them, all talking at once. I leaned closer, and then I realized something that made my blood run cold. Every voice sounded like mine. Different ages. Different tones. Some older, some younger. All of them whispering the same thing. "Don't open the door." My hands started shaking. If every version of me was warning me, then why was the door here? And why did it feel like it wanted me to open it? Suddenly the whispering stopped. Complete silence. Then one voice spoke clearly, right on the other side of the door. "You already did." The handle twisted violently. The door flew open. Inside was a room filled with doors, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Each one different, old doors, metal doors, broken doors, and above every single one, a different time was carved into the wood. 2:17, 1:45, 4:12, 5:59 times. Moments, decisions. Behind me I heard footsteps. Slow, heavy footsteps. I turned around slowly. My older self was standing at the end of the hallway again. But something was wrong. His face looked pale, terrified. "Close it," he whispered. But before I could move, something massive crawled out from behind him, a shadow so large it barely fit in the hallway. Long limbs. Too many of them. Its body twisted like smoke, but its face looked like me. Every version of me all at once. It smiled, and the entire hallway shook. "That's the thing about doors," it said in my voice. "Once you see them..." The creature slowly stepped forward. "You always want to know what's behind the next one." The lights in my apartment flickered. The hallway stretched further. More doors began appearing around me. Dozens. Hundreds. All waiting. And I realized something horrifying. The creature wasn't chasing me. It was waiting. Because eventually, I would open them all.